Hello there and welcome. This is Mikhail or Michael speaking. And as always, I want to say thank you all who decided to support me financially, be it through PayPal, Patreon, or Super Thanks. Now, today's video, I will start with the situation in Zaporozhie, to be more precise with the settlement of Pityhatki, which was a subject of a extremely heavy fighting in the last 48 hours. If you remember, few days ago, Ukrainians had established full control over the settlement of Lapkova, and the capture of the settlement of Pityhatki was a next logical goal. They were been launching some of the attacks towards this settlement, however, none of them were of much success. In one of those attacks, they were able to take control over this forested area here, which provided them with cover and allowed them to accumulate a lot of infantry within the forest. Then, after deploying a thick smoke screen, they started advancing from two directions, so from the forest and from Stepove along the road. Initially, due to the close proximity of the forest area and the settlement itself, Ukrainians were able to enter first houses in Pityhatki. However, Russians quickly called in artillery and the Ukrainians were thrown back. This situation repeated a few times. Ukrainians continued to launch attack towards the settlement of Pityhatki over and over again, each time capturing more and more of the settlement. However, like in the first time, Russians immediately called up artillery strikes, and those artillery strikes were destroying Ukrainians within the settlement and forcing them to retreat to their positions in the forest. At the end, Russians decided to step back from the Pityhatki to more reliable and suitable defensive positions on the high ground, leaving settlement of Pityhatki in the gray zone. Now, of course, some pro-Ukrainian sources are claiming that settlement of Pityhatki is under Ukrainian control. However, most sources suggest that there are not much left of the settlement. It is being heavily shelled, mostly by TOC-1 or Solntsepek. So due to the immense destruction, Pityhatki lost their strategic value for both Russians and Ukrainians. The only good thing that Pityhatki can provide is the road that goes through it and leads to perhaps next Ukrainian objective, settlement of Zherebyanki. And after Zherebyanki, they will surely attack towards Lugova as well. Based on some reports, it has been said that mostly Ukrainians used infantry here, with occasional tanks advancing on this road. It would seem that Ukrainians became extremely careful with using their armor, as their losses of tanks and armored personnel vehicles are piling up day by day. The lack of armor, perhaps, was the reason of such a heavy fighting for such a small settlement. Now I have a video of that battle happening for you. Now, be prepared, it's going to be fairly long, but it's very informative. Again, I will try to put some music on the background because the music they initially used is probably copyrighted, maybe something classical. In any way, this video will show that Ukrainians are taking heavy losses as they advance on this direction of the settlement Rabotina. They are generally using this road here that leads straight to this settlement. At first, they attacked to the west of it, and when their advancements were spotted and that attack was repelled, they tried to advance to the east of it. That attack also failed. As of right now, fighting still continues as Ukrainians are using wave after wave of their own forces to smash against Russian defensive line here in this sector. There are already some results. For example, here is the video coming from this front line where you can see that about a squad of Ukrainian soldiers have surrendered to the Russians with Max Pro armored vehicle burning in the background. Here Ukrainians also used some of their tank force. Here is one photo of Ukrainian tank being damaged and other armored vehicle near him. Report under this photo suggests that this is from the Orikhiv direction. So again, Ukrainians are taking heavy losses here on this front line without any gains or results to show. Then let's quickly visit Vremivka tactical bridgehead. All throughout last day and as I speak, Ukrainians are continuously attacking from Novodarivka and Livadne, trying to penetrate Russian defensive lines on the west side of the bridgehead, as well as attacking here across this front line to the general direction of Urozhaine and Staromayorsky. Here Russians are continuously counter-attacking Ukrainian troops, not allowing them to gain any foothold. Overall, there is no territorial change as of right now. The settlement of Staromayorsky and Urozhaine is still under Russian control and are not in danger. Overall, the artillery duels are intensifying, and there are recorded number of artillery shells used by Ukrainian side. It is being reported by some Russian sources that Ukrainians are mostly using those artillery shellings to demine the front line. The entire front line is still remain to be a massive minefield that Russians laid out in preparation of this counteroffensive. Again, this counteroffensive was no surprise to the Russians. They knew way before that it's going to happen, and it's going to happen here. If we zoom out to assess the whole situation, we can see that Ukrainians had been attacking here on this front here from Gulay-Pole, all across the Vremivka tactical bridgehead, as well with some limited attacks in Vuglidar. It has also been reported that Ukrainians have not even used 1/4 or 1/3 of their reserves, and they still keep them behind. So I would assume that the main push will happen eventually. It's just Ukrainians are not sure where to use their main forces. All across the entire Zaporozhie front line, Ukrainian armies were unable to penetrate Russian defensive positions. Again, the most success they had is here. However, the counter-attack that happened about a week ago completely stopped the Ukrainian offensive, and ever since they are unable to gain any foothold or any territory whatsoever. So the question stands where they will develop most of their troops, as none of their attacks have achieved any success. There is a chance that they will call off the offensive and said that there was no offensive in the first place, but they need to show results to the other Western nations and give them idea that Ukraine can still fight and that they still need all that equipment. In any way, I believe we will know the truth in about 2 weeks. But again, as of right now, this counteroffensive is going very, very poorly. So overall, this is the end of the video. If it was to your liking, please consider supporting it with a like, comment, and a subscription. As always, those actions help to promote this video and spread the message. If you feel generous, please consider supporting me financially through Patreon. This will provide me with much needed financial stability in these turbulent times. Thank you in advance. As always, humanity calls me to condemn all violence against human beings. Have a good day and always remember, Russia will be free and great.